2024 saw a sea of change among leaders across the globe. In South Korea, the future of President Yoon Suk-yeol is hanging by a thread after he was impeached following his ill-fated declaration of martial law in early December. Syria experienced the dramatic fall of Bashar al-Assad, ousted by a rebellion that ended more than 50 years of brutal rule by the Assad dynasty. In the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer and his Labour Party ended more than a decade of conservative rule.
Freedom.
The U.S. presidential election was the most high-profile event in the global leadership landscape for 2024. But Trump must wait until January 20. In the meantime, the year saw dozens of new leaders around the world starting their terms, some taking power by force, and some on the brink of being ousted. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol faces such uncertainty. Yoon of the ruling People Power Party stunned the country and the world by declaring martial law on December 3rd, blaming opposition parties for anti-state and pro-North Korean activities. The National Assembly, however, voted overwhelmingly to block the move, and 6 hours later, but not without causing political chaos. 11 days later, Yoon was impeached by the
今個月29號將 73R 改為 63R 嗰個大埔林村海縣市消息指
The most dramatic leadership change was in Syria, where the 50-year Assad dynasty was ended by a quick fire campaign that took less than 2 weeks. Syrians celebrated the end of one of the most brutal regimes in modern Middle East history as President Bashar al-Assad fled the country, with reports saying he was gaining refuge in Russia. Ahmad al-Shara of the rebel group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham is the interim leader as Syria plots a way forward in the post-Assad era. We did it! In the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer became Britain's new Prime Minister after the Labour Party ended more than a decade of conservative rule. The election saw Labour win 411 seats in Parliament, ending Rishi Sunak's 20-month rule. A weak economy, immigration, and rising prices saw the British public turn away from the Tories. An Iran tragedy forced a change of leadership. Ebrahim Raisi, a 63-year-old hardliner, was on track to become the eventual successor to Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. On May 19th, Raisi and 7 others were killed in a helicopter crash near the Azerbaijan border. 2 months later, reformist Masoud Pezeshkian was elected Iran's new president, beating his hardline conservative rival, Saeed Jalili, in a runoff. France had 2 new prime ministers in 2024. In early June, President Emmanuel Macron dissolved parliament and triggered snap elections. This after the far-right National Rally Party made significant gains in France's European Parliament elections. Marine Le Pen's National Rally, in coalition with the Republicans, led the first round of voting ahead of the new Popular Front coalition of left-wing parties, with the leading candidate qualifying for a runoff. To reduce the NR's chances of winning a majority in the second round, 134 NFP and 82 ensemble candidates withdrew from their races, leaving 1 far-right candidate and 1 non-far-right candidate facing off against each other in most contests. The far-right was kept at bay, but the NFP and ensemble both failed to secure the 289 seats needed for a majority, resulting in a hung parliament. In September, a center-right government was finally installed, and conservative Michel Barnier named as prime minister, even though his Republicans performed poorly in the election. Less than 3 months later, Barnier resigned after Parliament passed the 331 votes needed for a no-confidence motion. A centrist ally of Macron, whose local struggling to navigate his way around a sharply divided parliament. In Japan, Shigeru Shiba succeeded Fumio Kishida as prime minister. The 67-year-old took over from Kishida in September after a series of scandals shook public trust in their liberal democratic party. Shiba quickly called a snap election for Parliament's lower house, suffering losses as the LDP gave up its majority. In November, Shiba was challenged by Yoshihiko Noda, the leader of the main opposition Constitutional Democratic Party of Japan. Shiba won a runoff vote in Parliament to stay in power. However, he faces a number of challenges as the leader of a minority government. Times for a new prime minister, when the daughter of former leader Taksin Shinawatra, Pei Tongtarn, succeeded Sreta Taksin. This after the Thai Constitutional Court sacked Sreta because he had appointed to his cabinet someone accused of having a criminal record. Pei Tongtarn was then elected by members of her party, which is part of a majority coalition in a military-dominated parliament. Singapore swore in its fourth prime minister since the city-state's creation in 1965. Lawrence Wong succeeded Lee Hsien Loong in a succession that was planned 2 years in advance. Lee, the eldest son of Singapore's founding Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew, stepped down after 2 decades in office. Also in Southeast Asia, a new leader for Indonesia. On October 8th, Prabowo Subianto took the oath to succeed Joko Widodo and become the 8th president of the world's most populous Muslim-majority country. Once a rival of Widodo, Subianto ran for president with the former leader's son, Gibran Rakabuming Raka, as his running mate, forging an alliance despite allegiance to different parties. Subianto, who twice ran against Widodo in 2014 and 2019, emerged victorious in February's direct presidential election. Not all changes were peaceful. In Bangladesh, protests started in June over a high court ruling to reintroduce a quota system that saw 56% of highly sought-after government jobs reserved for certain groups. Young people, many unemployed, took to the streets, with protests becoming increasingly violent, resulting in more than 260 deaths. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina fled Bangladesh on August 5th. On August 8th, Nobel Peace Prize-winning economist and microfinance pioneer Muhammad Yunus was sworn in as head of an interim government. The 84-year-old's mandate includes preparing for new elections. In India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi secured a third term, but his Bharatiya Janata Party, or BJP, failed to earn an outright parliamentary majority. The BJP appeared invincible under Modi, but they were well short of its target of 370 seats in the 543-seat lower house of Parliament. More than 640 million people voted in the general election from April 19th to June 1st. Modi was able to secure 293 seats as he retained power, but for the first time in a coalition of BJP, Telugu Desam Party, and the Janata Dal Party. In Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro won re-election, but the result was disputed by the main opposition. A more organized power change in Mexico, with Claudia Sheinbaum becoming the country's first woman elected to the position of president. In Vietnam, former police officer To Lam ascended to the highest political office in the country as General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam. He replaced Nguyen Phu Trong, who died in July after 13 years at the helm. Lam remained president until he was replaced by military general Luong Kong in late October.